Hey everyone, it's James here, and in today's video I want to talk about something a little bit different. This isn't going to be specific to Airbnb like our videos normally are, but this is very much specific to starting your own business and doing it successfully. I want to talk about why there is a popular opinion out there that's completely wrong around the fact that if you want to start a successful business, you should quit your job, burn the ships, go all in to do it. Quite frankly, I found that to be exactly the wrong advice in most situations, in most scenarios, and I want to take this video to just kind of talk about why that is and why I think that if you really want to start a successful business, you shouldn't quit your job. You should actually commit to doing it on the side while you still have income coming in, while you still have your regular job that you work, and build it up alongside your full-time or part-time job until you get to a point where you can actually quit. So to start off with, and by the way, as with any video, just click the little like button if you do like this video. It really helps me out tremendously with YouTube's algorithm. And click subscribe if you're new to the channel here and you want to get 2 new videos every single week about Airbnb and starting your own business. So first of all, I think that the number one reason why someone shouldn't quit their job in order to start a business is because of decision making. What I mean by that is that when you're starting your own business, if you want to start your own business and have it actually be successful, your job for the most part is just to make a never-ending series of really good decisions. There are so many different decision points, different inflection points when you're starting a business and when you're growing and scaling a business where you have to make really complicated and sometimes complex decisions. And the answers to those questions that you have to answer are not necessarily clear. There's not necessarily just a binary right and wrong answer. There are different paths. If you can imagine, it's kind of like going through one of those books, if you remember from your childhood, where you'd go through the choose your own path books, and you would see these third order and fourth order consequences of the decisions you make, but you wouldn't see them initially. You would just be choosing which option to go with, and this could be something as simple as, which niche to choose in your business, or whether or not you should bring this specific property on board under management, whether you should work with this client or not. And these decisions, they may look like relatively simple decisions at face value when you're first starting out, but oftentimes there are second order, third order, fourth order consequences to these decisions that can be a little bit unpredictable. And so essentially all I'm saying here is that when you're building a business and you're growing a business, your job is largely to make a series of really great decisions. Now, if you can imagine trying to make really great decisions when you're constantly stressed out, overwhelmed, you don't have money coming in, that's a recipe for disaster. We tend to make the best decisions as human beings when we're not focused on short-term gain, because with short-term gain, that often doesn't really correlate too well with long-term gain. Meaning that if you make the decisions that are going to get you quick cash in your business, those likely aren't the same decisions that are going to keep your business surviving long-term. I'll give you a really easy example. Let's say that you're meeting with a client who would say yes to you, allowing you to manage their property, but you also know that you can't actually deliver that much value to them. Well, the quick cash decision would be, yes, let's bring that property on board under management, and then we'll keep it on board for as long as we possibly can until they realize that we're not actually providing that much value, and we'll get paid in the meantime, and then we'll lose that client a couple months down the road. Now, yes, that decision will make you some quick cash, but long term, that's going to lose you a client. It's going to create a whole bunch of headache. It's going to have you wasting your time on one property that's only going to generate income for a few months when you could be spending that time working on finding another property that would generate income for 12 months, 24 months, 36 months into the future. Not only that, but you're probably burning a bridge with this property owner who could potentially refer you to other clients and who might also create bad will if they end up really unhappy with your service. So oftentimes those decisions that are going to help you in the short term aren't necessarily the ones that are going to help you in the long term. Now, I know this from my own personal experience. I've made a ton of really bad decisions when starting and growing businesses when I was doing it from a place of not having income coming in, having quit my job, and making all these decisions out of really just fear and uncertainty. On the other hand, if you have stability and you have security from a full-time income coming into your bank account, then you can make the decisions that are going to best serve you long-term, and you can make your decisions from a clear head. You're not stressed out, you're not overwhelmed. You're really coming at these decisions from a relaxed, calm, cool, and collected perspective. And so you're liable to make a much better decision in my experience in those scenarios. Now, another reason why I feel that it's a really good idea to have a full-time job in addition to starting your business is that results are likely going to take some time. It's not unrealistic to think that to get your first paying client might take you 30 days. It might take you 60 days, 90 days. If you don't have a clear system, you're not working with a coach, you're going this on your own, it can take a while to get results. Certainly, in order to get enough income coming in to replace your full-time income, it's likely going to take at least a couple of months to do that. Now, another reason why I've seen that it's very advantageous to have a full-time job and have that security and stability while you're starting up your business is that results take time. Results aren't going to happen overnight in your business. Now, the number one key to being successful in anything is to stick with it, is to just commit to the process and be willing to stick through all the challenges that come your way. What you do when you quit your job to go and start a business is you make it a lot more challenging for yourself to stick with something. If you're sticking with it, it might mean that you have to move out of your house at that point because you can't afford to pay the rent or pay the mortgage. It might mean that you have to go and do something else on the side or whatever else because you just can't afford to live and get by. It makes it incredibly challenging to actually commit to the process of getting clients and getting your business off the ground successfully. And that process can take anywhere from 30 to 90 to 180 days even, depending on the business you're starting, depending on if you're working with a coach, if you have a proven system, all those things are going to impact the timeline. Now, sure, you might be able to get your first client under management in the first 30 days if you're working with a clear system, but even then, you're putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on yourself if you quit your job ahead of time. And some people do thrive under that pressure, so that can be an advantage, but for the most part, it tends to be a disadvantage because if you don't get the results that you're after quickly enough, you're more liable to quit early on before you actually get those results than if you have stability, you have security, and you have the wherewithal and the ability to easily keep on trying different things, iterating the process, and improving until you strike gold and you really get the business to take off. And so for those main reasons, the ability to make better decisions and the ability to more easily stick with your business, that's why I feel that it's a lot more advantageous for you to keep your full-time job or your part-time job, keep some level of income coming in while you start your business rather than quitting it cold turkey. Now, yes, people can make the argument for burning the ships. If you give yourself no other option but to succeed, then you will guarantee your success. And people can also make the argument around having more time to put into the business because you quit your full-time job. What I'm saying is not that those things don't hold true. They certainly can be an advantage, but if you weigh them against the disadvantages, I think that they're heavily outweighed by those disadvantages. Because if you have a ton of time to make really bad decisions, you're still just making a whole bunch of really bad decisions. And if you have no other option but to succeed, but you're stuck making all these bad decisions and you end up just quitting on that and then going and getting your job back, then it really didn't serve you to do that at all. From my experience starting businesses, it relies very, very heavily on your commitment and your decision making. And if you can do things to optimize your environment for those two things, for really great decision making and a really high level of commitment, then you really ought to do that. Now, like I said before in this video, if you have a full-time job, if you have a part-time job, you've got some income coming in, it gives you a lot more of those two things. You can make decisions a lot more effectively, a lot more clearly, and it's a lot easier to stay very committed to the business. That being said, you will need to be disciplined. You can't rely on, hey, I have no other option, so I need to go and actually focus on this business. You have to get disciplined about taking that additional time in the evenings, in the mornings, on the weekends to put effort and energy into your business. And by all means, once you get the business to the point where it can provide you enough stability and security that it's not going to impact your decision making and it's not going to impact the amount of commitment you have to your business, then you can quit your job. And that will allow you to really rocket fuel your business and grow to that next level. So I hope this video has been really valuable to you. I know there are a lot of different opinions out there on this topic. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments down below. If you've started a business a different way or the same way, if you found this to be true, just let me know in the comments. Or if you've thought about this and you have questions, you have concerns, anything like that, just let me know in the comments down below. I love to hear that sort of thing. So as always, if you've liked this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Just give the video a quick thumbs up there, click that little like button down in the corner. And then if you're new to the channel here, just click subscribe, or if you haven't subscribed to already, if you've been watching these videos, you've been following them for a while, but you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, then I highly recommend just clicking that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. That way you'll know when we post new videos twice every single week about all things starting your own business and about Airbnb and everything else in that space. So thank you so much for watching. I've really enjoyed speaking about this and sharing this video with you, and I'll see you in the next video.